So let's dive straight into setup. Now, you've only got to watch the PGA Tour on telly for 5 minutes and realize there's more than one way to putt. There are so many different grip styles, there are so many different stroke styles, but there will be a couple of common denominators. At the end of the day, we want to try to set ourselves up to the golf ball to be able to achieve a repeatable stroke, to achieve a consistent action, so we're able then to develop our feel, which is going to help us to get our first putts closer to the hole and then hopefully have a higher success rate when it comes to those short putts. So grip style, I can't really comment on it because I'm not going to tell you what you need to do in terms of grip styles. There are so many different methods, from, dare I say it, the conventional method to cross-handed, which is one of the grip style that I'm currently using, to the claw grip, to an arm lock. There are lots of different ways. So you need to experiment. And to be fair, if you feel like you've been struggling with your putting lately, sometimes a grip change can just sort of give you a sort of a new lease of life, and it may actually help you to develop a little bit more confidence. But there are a few things that I would like to see to help someone at least address the golf ball correctly to give them a chance. So if I'm gonna take my any style grip, I want to make sure that I'm addressing the golf ball in a way that I can move my shoulders and move my upper body and have a connection. So what I'd like to see is whatever you're doing with your hands, that doesn't make any difference. But what I do like to see is that the arms and especially the elbows are sort of in the rib cage area. Now, I don't really mind if your sort of elbows are by your side or sort of in front of your chest. I like to feel that they're sort of like my elbows are sort of underneath each pec. That for me gives me a very solid foundation, which is going to allow me to use my upper body to rock back and through. What I then need to do is sneeze. Excuse me. Don't have to do that every time you putt. So tucking the elbows in. Now, if I feel that the grip is sort of pointing at my belly button and I'm standing upright, for be able to me to rock my shoulders correctly, I need to feel that I'm hinging from the hips like we would do in a full swing. We want to try and keep a fairly neutral spine angle as best we can. And I'm going to hinge forwards to the point that the club touches the ground. Now, again, if I've just hinged forward, I'm going to feel a bit of pressure in the back of my legs. From there, I can then just relieve that pressure by a slight softness of the knees. So when I'm addressing my golf ball, if I feel that my elbows are sort of in connection with my rib cage, whether in front or slightly to the side, and then I have hinged forward from the hips, I'll be able to feel that I can keep my back in a fairly neutral position, keep my arm structure solid, and then able to achieve a sort of consistent, repeatable setup perspective. So if I just show you from the face on, so it was more elbows tucked in, whatever grip style, hinging from the hips, and then creating a fairly sort of neutral spine angle where I've hinged forward and then softened the knees. Now, ball position, I like to probably see it somewhere between the middle and slightly forward of middle. I don't think we should be into a driver setup position because it gets too far forward. And obviously we're going to be swinging this putter on a slight arc. And again, the further forward you have the ball position, the more you're going to come around on that arc. So therefore it's going to be difficult for you to get your start line correct. And then really the only thing that I would like to see is the eye line to help your alignment when you are lining yourself up. Now I'm going to come later in the series to talk about whether we use a line or not use a line, etc. But the one test you can do to see if you've maybe hinged too far over or you're standing too far away from the golf ball to begin with, it's just a simple test. So get yourself into your address position. So tucked elbows, hinging forwards. Ball position, I have it a hair forward of middle, elbows nicely tucked. Now, in this position, get another golf ball, put it over your lead eye, and just let it drop. Now, if that ball touches it, now I just missed the ball, so it actually just missed the other side. So let me try that again. because that highlighted for me, I'll exaggerate, my ball dropped and it went outside of the golf ball. For me, I think you should either hit the golf ball or be ever so slightly inside. If, for example, there was an extreme and I was over here, it's going to be very difficult to get that slight arc to your stroke. You'll actually find a slight reverse arc. So, as a little test, get myself into my, dare I say it, my normal setup position. Elbows nicely tucked. Try not to move too much. Over my lead eye. There we go. That's a bit better. So, from a setup perspective, if you can have the eye line pretty much in line with the golf ball or slightly inside, I think that helps your visualization when we come onto it, and it will help you with your stroke in terms of having a little arc. If we can make sure that the elbows are nicely tucked into the rib cage, then I feel that the arms and the upper body can move as a unit. I think if your elbows are too out and they're sort of independent, it's very difficult to get that consistency. And if we can hinge forward from the hips and keep the spine from getting too rounded over, it will actually allow us to rotate a little bit better. The one comment that I haven't had is obviously what you're doing with your alignment. Like with a full swing, we want our body alignment parallel to our ball to target line. And that just needs to make sure, the biggest thing really, is that the shoulders are nice and square or parallel to that ball to target line. That's why I don't like the ball position going too far forward, because if it does, it can sometimes exaggerate the feeling of having your shoulders pointing over to the open side or to the left-hand side for a right-handed golfer. So you do need to feel that your shoulders are nice and parallel. Your feet alignment, I don't really have too many issues, but I feel for putting, a fairly square stance is going to be preferred. I know sometimes if I was doing a full swing, some people drop their trail foot back to help them from that inside path. Obviously for putting with such a small stroke, I feel that we can get away with just having everything nice and square. So if you tuck your elbows in, just make sure the shoulders are nice and square. You might want to film yourself from a down the line perspective, or ask a playing partner to check your shoulder alignment. But square shoulders, square alignment, tucked elbows into the side, an eye line that is sort of on the golf ball or slightly inside, and a ball position that is just maybe a hair forward of middle is definitely my preferred. Give it a try, see how you get on, and in grip style, I would experiment. There'll be one style that you like better than another, and again, there isn't a right or a wrong here. So suit a style that suits your needs, suits your feels, gives you some confidence, and let's putt a little less.